Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. Your number one stop for stellar reviews of volumes, arcs, or stories that us or yourselves choose. You can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the replay on all podcast networks. Take a seat, get yourselves and your opinions ready, as it's time to join the herd. But first, please put your hands together for your hosts, Shane, Phil, Scott, and Martin, as they kick off this week's discussion. Hello everyone, welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club, and this week it is our Herd's Choice pick. It's going to be awesome. My name's Scott. We've got all the boys plus Sean, our Herd's Choice winner. So first of all, we'll say hi to Sean.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. We've got Shane up here.
Oh, hoi hoi.
Philip.
Sup, nerds.
And Martin way over there.
Evening all.
There we go. Awesome. So yes, so we are today talking about Batman White Knight from 2017, written and drawn by Sean Murphy, coloured by Matt Hollingsworth, and lettered by Todd Klein. We're covering all 8 issues. It's a lot more than usual. We usually do 4 to 6, so doing 8 was a bit of a squeeze for some of us, I think. But there we go. Shane's donning his Batman hoodie there. So let's have a quick hello to see who's in the chat before we crack on. We've got Highland G. Hey, thank you for joining. And that's it so far, but some others will pop in later on. So, Sean, first of all, thank you very much for joining us.
I literally just finished this about 20 minutes ago because I've been working all. I started it at the weekend and then I forgot it was 8 issues long. Forgot how long actually this book is. Yeah. And then Phil messaged me on Sunday and I said, "Yeah, I'm actually reading it just as he was messaging me." And then I got sidetracked at work and I finished work at 8:30. So I didn't really want to. I had to sort of try and squeeze it all in.
Speed read. Well done.
Yeah, I had about 3 issues left, but I had to have something to eat obviously beforehand. So yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. So, what made you want to choose this book?
This is one of the first Batman books I read. Apart from Court of Owls, that was originally the first one. But this one sort of had a bigger impact on me because it shows it was different to everything else that I'd read before, and it stuck with me. It was just one of those ones where it was just interesting to see what would happen if the Joker was good or if it became normal, and I wanted to see the outcome of it. And it was. The story just kept me engaged the whole way through it. It was really, really well done. And then that ending where you discover what's going on. I won't spoil it just yet. Obviously, we'll talk about it as we go along. But yeah, fantastic. And the artwork was excellent too. So
yeah. Guys, is that synopsis enough for you? Or should we get a proper synopsis?
If you want to, you didn't ask for synopsis. You just asked why. So
I know, that's fine. But you were explaining it so much. I was like, oh, that's basically a synopsis. But do you want to give us a quick synopsis as well? What happened in this book?
Well, basically, the story is that Batman's gone off the rails. He's going a bit too far because the Joker's sort of pushing him over the edge. And this was a year prior to the events in the book. And he finally corners the Joker, who takes some pills that make him suddenly become sane again. But the story's about whether or not is he actually sane, or is he just trying to trick everybody into thinking Batman is the bad guy.
Nailed it. And then we got a sprinkling of Harley Quinns, and we have a new character, Neo Joker, and we have some mind control, and we have loads of different Batmobiles. It's awesome. But yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's. Oh, I got too much choice now. Who should we start off with? Phil, I know you really, really, really like this book, and if you you would have picked this at some point down the line to show up for the Nerd Herd. So, give me your initial thoughts. I know you're a big Batman fan.
Well, basically, this was going to be picked. I think that was actually my next pick. So Sean got there ahead of me. And I recall, Sean, I know you've watched us on and off due to work commitments, but you've picked this a few times for the Herd's Choice.
Yeah, it's always this one. Yeah.
This. I mean, we've read and talked about The Dark Knight Returns. We've read Year One. Long Halloween, Batman Hush. These are all books that are classic Batman stories. I just find sometimes from they were in the 80s and 90s and whatever else, some of the Batman stories in between, as good as they are, they're never quite that level. This is the one that's modern day that could easily be that level. Like this is one 30 years time you can give to your kids and go, this is a Batman book you must read. This is going to be in most people's must read books of Batman. The fact that it's an Elseworld or a Black Label helps it because they are quite, what's the word? They're quite free with some of the details. Like Jason Todd being the first Robin, he wasn't. Jack Napier, in case anyone gets confused, isn't really the Joker's name. There's no real set name for the Joker. There's really like 3 or 4 different names used for the actual Joker itself in like the main DC universe. So the fact that they can kind of play around with stuff is what we like. We like the idea that you have this kind of freedom to do what you want with it. And Neo Joker was a great story, like a great way to introduce this Harley Quinn. Wasn't the real Harley Quinn, but she's just as crazy as the Harley Quinn would be type of thing. And yeah, I'm a big fan of this, and the art is phenomenal. I mean, we've seen the art in King of Spies, and we praise it then. I'll be very surprised if we don't praise it again today.
Shane?
Yeah, I mean, Phil's right. This is, in 30 years' time, this is this generation's Killing Joke. I know that's a big label to put on it, but
that's very big.
I do feel that this is very much the Killing Joke. It's very much inspired by it as well. You know, the one bad day for Commissioner Gordon. This is the one bad day for Batman. And it's so well done. It is so well written, and the characters are fantastic, and the artwork. Yeah, I have a soft spot for Sean Murphy anyway, since he saved Barbara Gordon from being a cosplayer in Burnside to being this version of Batgirl again. So yeah. I do have a soft spot for him. But this book is just the idea of, you know, the Joker is not just crazy. He's so smart, and what he says you agree with. You know, he's like, I didn't cause all this damage, Batman did. He's like, I didn't do this, Batman did. I'm not the one that does it. Batman does this when he's chasing me. So you look at it and you're like, he's right. Yes, he's doing bad things, but most of the damage done to Gotham is caused by Batman chasing him. And it's not the Joker actually doing that part of it. And he's very logical and very intelligent. And it's nice to see that side of him. You do see it sometimes with the Joker, but to this level, I really enjoyed that. And 2 Harleys, I mean, if this book wasn't written for me, who was it written for?
That's true. That's true, Martin.
Well, for me, like many of us, I think we've been suffering from Batman fatigue lately.
No such thing.
But this was the book that snapped me out of it. This was just so well done from start to finish. You know, I think if anybody said to me, what is DC Black Label? What is Elseworlds? Right now, this would be the book I would give them. This is what you've got to read. This is Elseworlds perfectly done. You know, at the end of the day, there's so much homage paid through the pages for people of the movies, people of the animated series, people of comic book history that they've read. There's something there for everybody that you could just dive into this, enjoy the story for what it is, and walk away loving everything that you've been told and learning a bit more about the characters as a whole. So for me, yeah, loved it. It's great.
I thought this was very well written, but I did find myself comparing it to like Harleen in terms of like the format and like the layout of it all. Like, you know, this is a Black Label book, so that Harleen is the only other Black Label book that I've read, and I found that, you know, not being a massive Batman fan myself and having like a basic understanding of relationships and things like that, Harleen really held my hand to the origin of all that and how it began, and you saw the whole thing blossom from start to finish. But then reading this, it is great, and don't get me wrong, but I feel like you need to have like some sort of prerequisite of the relationship between Batman and Joker, because if you don't understand, like Phil, you said, you know, this would be a book to give to your kids or someone in the future to be like, right, this is a must read. But you need to be able to read a lot of stuff before that to really understand the impact of the relationship between Batman and Joker. And then when Jack goes, I'm going to be the White Knight, if you're reading this for the first time, this isn't going to be a oh shit moment as you might have it. But like, you know, if this is like the first ever book that someone's going to read for Batman, people are just going to go, "Oh, okay, cool, White Knight, next page." You know.
I
So
I
go
agree
on.
and disagree with you on that.
Yeah.
I think the fact this was the second one I'd read of Batman, so I didn't have a lot of history with it.
Yeah.
So when you're reading it, it actually does break out how involved the Joker is with how obsessed he is with Batman. It doesn't need that backstory because it explains it already. It's the you asked earlier about the page that I picked.
Mm.
It's that page, and that helps me develop the story, and it shows me the human side of the
Mm.
Joker and his obsession with Batman, and how Harley Quinn is obsessed with Joker, but Joker's more obsessed with Batman. And that page on its own just described that sort of origin story with the two of them. So I don't think you need to have read Killing Joke, because I read Killing Joke after this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I already knew from this story sort of that obsession, because Killing Joke is mainly about the obsession that Joker has. This expands on it without having to actually read Killing Joke. For me, anyway.
I definitely think you would benefit more certainly from more of a backstory. However, you'd be hard pushed to find people who don't know Batman and Joker, even if they're not comic book readers. Or
Oh yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
even through pop culture, through cartoons, whatever. There's some sort of layer there that you understand that that's like even like the songs, like the Christmas song every year, Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, that kind of thing. That's like there's the Joker's in there. You know rightly Batman and Joker type of thing.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think if you had more of a likes the Killing Joke and how crazy the Joker can really be, and how obsessed he really is, this would benefit you. But I still think that again, in 30 years' time, if you had to give somebody 5 Batman books to read, this would be one of the 5. May not necessarily be the first one, but definitely one of the 5.
Yeah. I'd agree.
Yeah,
Definitely agree with that. Definitely. I forgot what I was going to say. So art then. Sean Murphy again. We read him for King of Spies. Really, 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 really good book. And yeah, it's basically on point with the same style in it. Like for me, what I noticed was the noses.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Murphy has got a nose. He's got a style of nose.
And chin.
And chins. Yeah. Because I think King of Spies, it was what's his name, Nolan, or something like that, and his son, his son has the same face pretty much as Jack.
I think I made that comment on that live stream that it was pretty much the Joker from White Knight, and he is very very similar. Even this kind of lanky legs and pointy feet and stuff as well, quite similar to Jack Napier.
What did you guys think of the art then overall?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Loved it. Yeah,
gorgeous.
I mean, every element. I mean, the Batmobiles, the vehicles, the cities, the details—they're all great. The designs, even like the guys in the GTO uniform, like they all look good. Like they all look really good. Like there's nothing. I mean, I think there are a few scenes whenever it's like from the helicopter and they're meant to be smothered on the screen or whatever. Like they're not done too neatly. They're a bit. I remember one where Batman actually finally gets near the Neo Joker at the bridge scene, and it's like really far away, and it just looks like there's not a lot of detail there, but there's not going to be. It's meant to be from that perspective. But other than that, that's been clutching at straws. The art's fantastic, and the colouring, by the way. I can't remember who the colourist was on King of Spies, but this Matt Hollingsworth, was it Scott?
Yeah. On this, yeah.
He also makes this just as good. With his colours, because I think these two have worked together a few times, Sean Murphy and Matt Hollingsworth on other books, and like these are like the two that go together. They're one of those partnerships in comics that you need to have together.
Colorist was Giovanna Nero for King of Spies.
If it was Matt Hollingsworth, I'd probably top the leaderboard.
Okay. Don't bite. One thing, right? It's probably absolutely nothing to even pick up, really, but I was always loving the way that he drew both Harleys, like their hair.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved the flow of it and the style of the layers. It was awesome. Really liked it. And then just the body language throughout the entire book as a whole, I think, was just done brilliantly, especially the action scenes as well.
But even when they were just standing there with a hand in a pocket, you know,
Yeah.
maybe one leg was straight, their hip was slanted, like no one ever just stood up straight. They were always in some sort of position. And it's nice little touches like that, little attention to detail. It just makes the book.
Yeah. You
Just
know,
makes it
not
pop
just
a little
standing
bit
there.
more.
Yeah. It makes it feel a bit more realistic, I guess, instead of just people
Yeah.
standing there straight going, hello, I am Batman.
Can I also just add for the art as well?
Yeah.
I mean, I collected this in single issues at the time. This is one of the first books I had at my pull list. And if I can remember correctly, there was no delays on releases. And we've commented before in other books that whenever the guy's doing the writing and the art, there's always a delay somewhere. But maybe Sean Gordon Murphy had the time to get ahead of himself. But the fact that like the art doesn't drop, if you know what I'm trying to say, it's not like it's
Yeah.
trying to catch up on release dates and deadlines. It just seems to be really good the whole way throughout. So I don't know again if he had all the time in the world to do this, or else he's just that good he can keep up with a schedule.
It might
Do you
just
think
simply have been that he had it all done and
Yeah.
then they had a release slot for it. Because if you look at the level of detail in the artwork and to do the writing, that would have taken even doing one issue of this would have taken a considerable amount of time.
100%.
So
Yeah.
I would imagine it's probably been pre-done and then slotted into a time to fit.
I think that's probably a Black Label thing as well. I mean, I've bought quite a few Black Label DC books, and I don't think any of them have ever been delayed. And I mean, Harleen, that wasn't delayed, and that was the writer and artist, you know, smashing it every single issue with the art on that one. I don't think there was a single page in that book that had anything less than perfection on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's lush. It's lush. Shall we look at our pages? I know we're talking about it loads, but let's show everyone. Okay, so let me get to everyone's pages. Sean, would you mind going first as our guest of honor today?
So I've already mentioned it earlier. The reason why I picked this is more the human aspect of the page. I know people will automatically say, "Oh, Harley's half naked," but it's not. It's more the human aspect of it, where you can see that she's obviously wanting Joker to love her, but he can't love anybody but Batman. His obsession's that deep, that involved. So it just shows the people that are generally considered monsters have a human side, even though it may be perverse and twisted in a way. It's still human nonetheless. So that's the reason why I sort of picked this one. It sort of stands out more to me compared to the others. Because you could pick any number of pages in this book, but this is the one that sort of popped out a little bit more to me.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a really good contrast, isn't it? It's like, you know, Harley is there, like, you know, wanting affection and, you know, just, a relationship with Joker, and he's just overwhelmed by his obsession with Batman. Yeah. It's really good.
It's also a homage, isn't it, to The Killing Joke? Sorry, no, it's not. To Mad Love. You know, where she's in the lingerie and she's like, don't you want to rev up your Harley? And he's there trying to come up with a perfect plan to get Batman. You know, again, he's obsessed with Batman over his sexy girlfriend.
It's still a great line. Don't you want to rev up your Harley? I love that.
It is great. It is great. Well, it's an awesome page. Thank you, Sean. We'll go over to Phil next.
Yeah, like as Sean mentioned, there's a few pages we could have picked. And of course I got here late, so I think my original pick was already there in the wee list here. So I love the drama of this. We've talked a few times about how we like the lettering to pop out a little bit and go off the kind of panels, which is cool. But for me, the best part about this is the fact that the bottom panel. So Jack Napier's in I'm assuming in the Gotham police station, and starts like losing control. His meds are wearing off. He's starting to turn back into the Joker, and as soon as he does, there's like dozens of guns pointed at him. Like that's just really dramatic and really cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and obviously you see the change and like the eyeball popping out, and it's just a really cool page. There was multiple cool pages you could have picked, and if you look at the top panel as well, like I mentioned, like the GTO outfits, like how cool Montoya is, how cool Duke looks. Like they just look. Every character just looks cool in their own way, and I just thought it was a great page.
There's a a panel that Duke says something that made me absolutely just burst out laughing, and it's when he hits the penguin and it says, "Get out of the way, Happy Feet."
Yeah, Happy Feet. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Get out of the way, Happy Feet. That's brilliant. Shane?
Yes. This I didn't just pick it because of Harley, just so we're aware. I'm not that obsessed.
You don't even like Harley, do you?
This was my
Who's
second.
Harley? It just tells a story on a single page. It just tells the story of the Joker and Harley's relationship and Batman and the Joker's relationship on a single page. And I just thought it was done so well. You've got like the Killing Joke up here with him as a comedian, and you've got Harley, blood-soaked and broken, the Joker. It's just got everything that sums up this book for me. And it's just gorgeous. The layout of it is fantastic. How it's just layered on layered. It's not panels, it's layered, and I really.
And they all like flow and blend into each other as well. Yeah, it's really nice.
And again, we'll talk about the writing later on, but the fact that the Joker Harley love affair or romance, or we're going to call it, is one of the huge arcs within this story. Like, it's like the fact that this portrays that really well here.
And how heartbreaking is the sign on her gun?
Yeah, the "Why Don't You Love Me" one, is that?
Yeah.
And the blood spatter, and then Batman as a bat signal as well. So it's
and then you get that line as well later in the book where it's like, "Thank you for giving me the chance to love you over again," or something along those lines, isn't it? When it's just that book is great, and it just highlights that kind of that arc really well.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'll go for mine next. Yes, this is well, I don't know if you noticed, but about halfway through the book, it kind of started turning into a Fast and the Furious kind of story. Everyone had their own car. That's why I put my name as Two Bats, Too Furious.
In a good way, though. Fast and Furious sucks. This is not.
Yeah, but it just got to a point where like all of the action was like car orientated, and it just reminded me of the Fast films. But anyway, it's a really cool page. You know, everyone's driving a different car. I wanted to ask as well. The top panel there, that's the Tumbler, isn't it, from the Christian Bale films?
Yeah.
Was that car invented for the Christian Bale films?
Yes.
And then brought into this book?
Yeah. I think Sean Gordon Murphy had said at some point after he made this book that he just wanted to incorporate all the Batmobiles because he thought they were all cool. So definitely that is the Batman Begins Tumbler. But it's now it's now in the DC universe, but it's not really because it's obviously Elseworld. But
yeah, it's really cool though. I saw it and I was like, I know that one. I know that car. This is great. But yeah, it's a really cool. This is the page as well, Sean, where he's talking about the Happy Feet with the penguin.
But I love the way, like, for each panel as well. Sorry, it's like to have each person's head.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Oh yeah, sorry. On what car they're driving. It's just such a cool page.
Yeah.
This was meant.
It's like Wacky Raceland.
It's not like Wacky Raceland. You've insulted this book twice today. Fast and Furious and Wacky Raceland. Go away.
Is it Duke's? But is it the Happy Feet one? Is that the one from the latest Batman movie? Because it looks very similar.
Apart from I'm not. Well, wouldn't be sure because it was written. It was done before.
No, I think that's the 1939 Batmobile. I think from his first appearance, it's got the massive spoilers over the wheels.
Yeah, it's one of the early ones.
Okay.
So
you should recognise the one in the bottom panel, Scott.
Yes, please.
It is the greatest Batmobile of all time.
Wait. Let me get it back. Is this from one of the cartoons? Is this from the?
It's from the cartoon.
One of the cartoons.
Right.
Okay, Martin, we'll go over to you then. I've left you till last because you've got the same page as one of the a viewer's pick. So here we go. So there it is.
See, for me, not only do I enjoy the use of shadows in this whole book, which is one reason I chose this page, but when you actually get a closer look on this, the amount of memorabilia and nods to everything Batman that comes before. You can see the animated series. You've got Batman 89. You've got the Batmobiles on the floor there from like 86 right the way back to the 40s. 66 right the way back to the 40s. You know, the Nolan verse is taken into account. You've got Batman animated series suit on the bottom left-hand corner. You've even got Lego Batman and Lego Joker up to the side, falling down the side. It's just a pure homage page. And it's sort of, this is in the first issue. So it just gave me a little bit of an indication of what we were going into. It's something for the fans, something that if you have had any knowledge on Batman, you know, but you're going to get a little bit more. And what you've seen from previous pages, seeing the Batmobiles further on, again, it just touches upon it so much through the book. I just really enjoyed that. I spent so much time looking on this page. When I finished the book, I went on Google and I was zooming in on some of the pages just to see where some of the Batmobiles were from, and like clicking on some, even like the Joker that's hanging from the top, his big gun that he has.
Yeah. Pointed at the Batwing.
You know, it's perfect. It's just such a very well done page.
I imagine this is what Phil's bedroom looks like.
You're spot on. Yes.
And we're both sitting on the bed like this. Well, what's in the bed?
So this page was also chosen by Brian. He messaged us on Facebook. He has said, this shows the Joker's obsession with Batman has really gone full on to beyond a healthy level. He has literally surrounded himself with Batman. I also like the nod to a lot of real-world merchandise in the picture, from the likenesses of Heath Ledger and the Batman 89 stuff, all the way to the Batmobile toys in the foreground. I would imagine there are plenty of Bat fans that could tell us more about all the items on the page.
Phil,
Definitely.
go. Label
Martin just did, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. This is the rest of the show now. Phil's just going to name everything. But yeah, there we go. There are our pages. Thank you, everyone who sent a page in. Highland G has said, I love the Batman-shaped Gotham with the heart and Batman dripping onto Harley. So that was relating to Shane's page. And relating to my page, it looks more like the Carmageddon game than the Fast movies. That's another reference for you, Phil. We've got a hi from Steve. Hi, thank you for joining. And we've got a hi from Liam. Thank you for joining.
See, that page that Martin and Brian picked,
Yeah.
for me, that the reason why I really like that page too, because we've spoken many times about creators who write a book or draw a book who don't care, like, for their characters. You can tell. Batman, again, I've said before, Batman would top most polls of favorite characters for most people, I would imagine. But Sean Gordon Murphy, you can tell as a fan, the fact that he puts all that in just from his own memory or from his own mind. He's not like trying to. He's trying to fit it in, but into the story at the same time. Like, this is all cool stuff. All the different versions of Batman, all the memorabilia. Let's use that for Joker's obsession. And it's
almost like he knows exactly what to leave out as well, because it doesn't touch. I don't think it actually touches at all on the death of Batman's parents, which is one of the few books that doesn't do that, because every other book does.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's overkill when you hear it in every single book. You know, it's why, you know, likes of James buys his Batman with always been, because it's in every book. So might refer this to him to be further reading if he changes his opinion. But
you're right, and the emotional stuff's coming from Alfred, like a father-like figure, as opposed to actual parents. I think there's even a line somewhere that says, like, he stopped doing this as avenging his parents' memory. It became something different. And you're right, we've mentioned that before. Everyone gets sick of seeing the same kind of scenes with the parents and stuff. So, but yeah, the emotional stuff comes from Alfred, which is really emotional as well.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. On to the writing then.
Yeah.
Martin, do you want to kick us off with the writing?
I thoroughly enjoyed the writing on this. As we've touched on with the art, you can tell that there's passion for the character with the writing in this. You can tell he knew what he was going into. I think the way he wrote the Joker in this really resonated with me, because I've never seen the Joker like this before. So to see that twist on the Joker and the intelligence of him was just written so well. I loved the way he wrote the two Harleys. I was just thinking of Shane when I was reading this book, because I love that they separately, sort of, for me, they separated the original Harley that we know and love with the new 52 and beyond. I just felt like we got that nice split and justifiable reason as well. Even with some of the side characters, even down to the GCPD characters, they were all just so well written. Everything about them, the character development through it was great. I can't pick any negatives, really. I'm struggling to pick a negative without gushing over this book too much.
What I love about it is, like, from the start to the end of the book, it goes full circle. Joker's in prison, Batman's still the hero, but they give us 8 issues in between, which are brilliant. Do you know what I mean? They told a story, but we're back to where we were. But here's what could have happened. Essentially, like, the Joker, Jack Napier, believe they're both the same. They mentioned in the book. They believed they knew what was best for Gotham. They're both going to save Gotham. And Jack Napier appeared like he was doing it with legitimate means, but of course he was going above the law to do it. Just as Batman goes above the law to do it. So they're exactly the same. So we go full circle, and like Batman's the hero, but the vigilante we all need, the Dark Knight, and Joker's back in jail, or back in Arkham. But then the fact that Batman realizes how hard he was on the Bat family, like that. I just think it was written really well in between. Like, you didn't need to have this. We're back to where we were, but here's 8 issues of cracker story, and I'm a fan.
Sometimes I think some books can be a little too wordy, especially when it comes to comics, because half the story is told obviously in the art, but there's panels in this that is just like dialogue after dialogue after dialogue. But at no point did I ever find a weak point. Did I find myself disinterested? I just wanted to read more and more. Yeah. And the story itself was, like you've been saying, it was so engaging. I didn't mind that there was all that dialogue. Half the time when I'm reading a comic, if there's too much, I'm like, please just end already. This, no.
Yeah, it's almost like, we'll say a slow burn. It's not negative. It's like a slow burn up until the Fast and Furious scene, really. It's just laying into the whole story, everyone's motivation, and then it kind of builds up to this. And again, as Sean said, like, not one point was I bored reading this. Not one point I think there's too many words. Not one point did I think it was too verbose. But then again, and I mean, again, wasn't loads of action, but it was all like the scheming and the planning, and the fact that like Batman was quite irrational and emotional, obviously with Alfred dying, and then obviously his death. He was quite erratic, but he always believed that Joker was, still scheming, and he was right. So Batman always has a plan, and always comes out in the end as the good guy.
I quite liked the natural progression of the creation of the GTO. And it wasn't just, and then they made the GTO. It was, there was legit reasoning, and the writing for that was very clever. Like, as a reader, I was even going, yeah, I mean, the GTO makes total sense. I think they should have the GTO. I think everyone would be far better off if everyone just worked together under one organization. And that's what I really enjoyed, was the fact that Sean Murphy was able to make me feel like that. Essentially, I'm on Jack Napier's side. I'm not going, Batman's the bad guy, but I'm like, Batman is like the guy, like he's on the gray line kind of thing. He's like, I'm not quite sure, but then everything that Joker is saying or Jack Napier is saying is sound and makes sense and would work in the better interest of Gotham. And I think Sean Murphy would be a very good politician.
Yeah, but the way they do that as well, the fact that they almost make the public fall in line with Jack Napier because he sends the taxpayers' money. Like what's it called, the Gotham or the Batman? What was that?
The Devastation
Fund was funded by the taxpayer, but it's not. We find it's funded by Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne knows that I'm Batman. I'm destroying everything. Okay, I'll pay for it. I'm destroying your bridge. Okay, here's £10 million. Build a new bridge.
Bridge money.
And then whenever he finds out, like Bruce finds out, like the rich people, the elite 1%, are actually making money off it, he snaps and loses his mind. So Bruce Wayne and Batman is always the good guy in those grey areas. So he's not portrayed to be the bad guy that Jack Napier kind of lays him out to be, type of thing. And I just think the way it's kind of to and fro, you can really side with either or, to be honest. Then, of course, Jack Napier was the schemer who.
I think though that what you're mentioning there as well, there's a sort of take, if you look at the newscast, this sort of this book shows that people can be swayed just by saying only one side of a story.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, you don't see the Bruce Wayne Batman side on the news. You see from the point of Jack Napier, because the newscaster is on his side, but the other newscaster possibly isn't. But she keeps getting overridden every time she's mentioned it. You know, he says, well, it's got a point, this, that, and the other. But you've got also the fact that you said there about the fund is used by Bruce Wayne to repair the city, because you always sort of wonder, like, think to yourself, how much damage can this city sustain? How can it be funded? It's poor, because most people are poor, so where's the money coming from? And then obviously you've got like the creation of the GCPD. I keep forgetting the name of it again. But
GTO.
The fact that why didn't Batman share his technology? So bringing that to the forefront as well, and then realizing, coming full circle at the end, him realizing I should have done this in the past.
Yeah, but that's the learning curve for me in this book. That Batman realizes, like, okay, for years I didn't trust anybody to use my Batmobiles and my technology. It used to feel in the wrong hands, but we're at the point now where you need to change how things are. We need to do something differently. Jack Napier showed us that, and that's why he at the end gives all the keys to his Batmobiles, which I find really strange, by the way. I doubt very much the Batmobile has a key. Like, we all have keys for our cars. Like a Vauxhall Astra has the same kind of key as the Batmobile. I don't buy into that. That's the negative. That's the one negative I'm thinking. Like, you'll have keys.
I mean, in Batman Returns, he speaks into his gauntlet, doesn't he? And the shields go round. So he just says "Open Batmobile" and it opens. So he doesn't need a key.
We have JD Smith on Twitch is asking, Alfred died? He did in this story, but this is an Elseworld story. So
he dies also in not New 52?
He's dead. He's dead currently, but
shit.
Spoilers. Sorry.
Wow.
If you want to read a book where he's alive in Deceased.
Aren't they doing like aren't they bringing out like
being.
a young Alfred story? I saw like on the pre-orders is called Pain in the Butler.
Oh.
Christ.
The Pennyworth TV series is really good if you want to see an Alfred-centric show.
Okay.
Basically, if you want to know where DC went wrong, Tom King killed off Alfred, and now they can't figure a way to bring him back.
Could have just stopped at Tom King. If you wanted to know where the DC went wrong, Tom King. Stop talking right there.
I think it's also the only major key in that entire run as well. It's considered the only major key.
Number 77, I have it. I have 4 copies.
As well, but it's still not worth anything, so it's irrelevant.
It will be one day, hopefully.
Maybe.
I'm going to retire that.
JD is also saying, Wayne is a capitalist who beats on those stunned from standard society expectations. No wonder why there are so many villains in Gotham. Bruce Wayne keeps his money and uses it to punish the desperate.
I don't think JD has read a Batman book.
I've actually read his comment a couple of times, thinking to myself, is that entirely accurate? I think it's very misconstrued.
It's funny though, because there are people who think things like Batman made a fascist and stuff as well. Like, they even done it in the Blue Beetle trailer and stuff. Like, there's different.
How to get people to not watch your film, Batman a fascist?
People have different opinions of Batman. I just think he's a hero. He's the number one hero of all time, in my opinion.
Bruce Wayne does what he can in the light, while Batman does what he can in the darkness. That's how Batman and Bruce Wayne work.
And because Gotham is such a dire place, they need to operate in those grey areas that Scott mentioned. That's why we need. He's the hero. What's the line? It's the hero we don't deserve, but the hero we need right now.
I've got a question for you guys. Did you find reading through this story? I felt I was very conflicted over what side I was sitting on throughout the whole book, because I thought the story was written so well. There was times where I was behind Jack Napier's opinions and why the justification of certain things were happening, but then I would then fall in line with, Nightwing and Batgirl. You could understand why they were challenging Bruce on what he was doing. But then, as we've said, full circle, it comes around, you think, well, actually, Batman was sort of right at the end. Did anybody else have that through this book where they were just continuously conflicted with what side you were sitting on?
For most of the time, I was very rarely Team Batman. I was Team Jack, and then sometimes Team Nightwing. But it wasn't until the end where, you know, the writer, as intended, makes Batman look like the good guy at the end. Then I go, okay, you know, I've said before, I read things and I do not put any of my own thought or predictability or whatever. I just go for the ride and I let the writer make me feel how I should feel. So I was Team Jack, bit of Team Nightwing, and then at the end, oh, okay, Batman's all right now.
Well, I'm always Team Batman. Batman was always in control, even when he was erratic and he was emotional with Alfred. Like the fact that he let Jack Napier beat him in a fight and arrest him, like he wanted that to happen because he knew it had to happen. He even said, "I could. Do you want me to take myself out of these cuffs, or do you want to do it?" Like he knows.
Yeah.
Like, he's in control. That Batman's always in control. So I'm always Team Batman.
Well, for me, I was Team Batman by default because of everything I've read. You know, being a massive comic book fan, I know Batman, and I like to think I know the Joker. So for a very, very long time, I was very suspicious. I was like, well, this is clearly just another scheme. He's clearly not okay. He's just taken a pill to dye his skin, you know, and make himself look normal so that he can pass. And then he'll just, right at the end, he'll go, ha ha, Batman, I got you. And I didn't even have to swing a punch. And it, you know, but then as you get to, I think I was probably about 6 or 7. I know it was a long way into the book when I was like, actually, I think he might be normal and okay. And I don't think this is. I don't think this is a. I was waiting for the shoe to drop. I was like, maybe he's going to do it when he's with Harley. You know, it's going to slip. And every time the face kept slipping out, I was like, maybe he can't hold it as much as he's trying to. And I was just waiting for him to go, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. But it didn't come. And I was pleasantly surprised.
I think there's something when you're reading a book and heroes and bad guys, the best type of bad guy for me is always the human bad guy. Your Lex Luthor, your Joker, not necessarily Darkseid or Thanos or whoever it is. I always find the human bad guy is actually more dangerous because when it comes to, you don't know what they're going to do. Whereas opposed to Thanos, you know what his ultimate aim is. Darkseid, you know what his ultimate aim is. It's the same thing over and over again. But with these sort of villains, I prefer the human aspect of it. So it's more intricate when they're doing, if it's done well, which this story definitely is, and it's why it's so highly ranked on my list of what I've read so far. So I love to see more stories like this. I haven't read any of the other White Knight after this. I believe there is more.
Yeah,
There's 4.
I've got the list if people want to know. So we've just read White Knight. After that, then there's the Curse of the White Knight. That's 8 issues, but then that's followed by another issue at the end called White Knight Presents Von Vries.
Oh, brilliant.
Then it goes on to a 6-issue run called White Knight Presents Harley Quinn. And then we have a little spin-off, Harley Quinn, Black, White, and Red. That's just the 6th issue of that, ties into the Present Harley Quinn stuff, and now we have the Batman Beyond the White Knight stuff.
And is it all Sean Murphy?
Yeah. Well, sorry, the Harley Quinn one, I think he's the writer.
His wife.
Oh, his wife, and Mario Scalera is the artist. His wife's the
Oh,
writer.
nice.
And are the ones after this any good?
Yes.
Curses.
Yeah.
You've heard it here
The
first.
next
folks.
one is really good.
The next one's really
one will
good.
just.
Yeah, and see that one shot, that Von Freeze one shot. That's fantastic. That's a fantastic one shot. Yeah. The one, there's new stuff coming out as well. I think due out the next month or so as well. Another
Red
Joker.
Hood?
What's one is it?
I thought Red Hood was coming out.
No, Red
Is
Hood's the one that's just finished. But there's a new one.
Red Hood's
There's a new series starting soon as well. He's building his own little corner of the DC
The little
universe.
Murphyverse.
Yeah,
Murphyverse.
It needs this, in my opinion, needs to be an animated series.
I'd watch it.
I think I'd like to see this as an absolute, where you've got a couple of the volumes in absolute.
Oh, they will be. They will be.
The artwork in this, absolute versions are required to have the artwork you always add to the end. That's not necessarily included. This, he must have loads sitting there.
I think this. I'd be surprised if this doesn't get the absolute treatment. certainly the whole collection will get an omnibus at some stage. But yeah,
I
like
don't-
there's
I don't want
those.
to read on.
You don't?
Well, yeah,
You
I
should.
do. No, listen, okay, I do, but I don't want to collect the trades. I'm happy to read on, but I will wait for Omnibus, Absolute, whatever, and then I'll go for it. But at the moment, I don't want to have a few different trades relating to this. I just want one book where I can just read it all in one hit. And how this has gone, if the rest are of the same like caliber, then that'll be that's good for me to know, because that's that puts confidence in me to buy it.
I honestly think, Scott, you would prefer The Curse of the White Knight over this. Just
Okay.
the way that book is, the kind of mythos included, it's something you would appreciate as a Batman book. And now that we've read this in the Nerd Herd, I can freely pick this
Yes.
next volume. And the guys who are watching live in 3 weeks' time, who you want to pick the Herd's choice is The Curse of the White Knight. There we go.
I'd be up for it. I'd be up for it.
I'm just going to make sure I mark it down to 0 and just not watch.
Does anybody know if actually he's wrapping this up with Beyond the White Knight? Is that going to be the end of it, or are we going to be seeing something else?
There is something else coming out that's been solicited for the next month or two, and I think it's another like kind of side thing. It's not like a main story. Like the Harley Quinn one was like a side story type of thing, slightly different. This I think may only be 4 or 5 issues coming up, but there is another volume essentially.
Because obviously we're not going to see an omnibus at any point soon until the whole lot gets wrapped up. I think at the moment I'm probably going to continue picking up in deluxes, because I know we've got this run and you've got the Curse in a deluxe. I'd like to see the others picked up in deluxe, because I'll be quite happy to have them.
I didn't know this was in deluxe, so I'm glad to know that, because I would happily pick that up.
Oh yeah, I think I'd prefer it in deluxe. Oh, all right.
Oh, brilliant.
For anyone listening, show's filling off. Show is showing off.
Show is filling off.
Phil is showing off his stuff. His hard covers there. Wow. All right. Someone say something else, please.
Can I ask, what did you think of the second Harley, basically, and how the Joker just found her one day and just assumed she was Harley?
That was great.
Yeah,
Really good. Really, really good.
Yeah,
like that just
He
shows
shows
their
so
relationship.
little. Yeah, he shows so little interest in anything Harley is, what she looks like, what she sounds like, that he just finds a blonde girl in a bank and he's like, "You must be Harley. Come along." I thought that was heartbreaking,
there's that little
but
backstory
hilarious.
that makes this over the whole thing so good, because there's lots of that, and the fact that she's about to slash the rest end her life, and he comes in, potentially actually saves her, but whether she is saved because she's become Harley, that's it's just those wee subtle things that make this story just great.
So that's the thing. That the Neo Joker. What was her name? Something Drews. Amanda Drews.
Marion.
Marion Drews.
Marion.
Is that
Oh, yeah.
is that somebody in the current DC universe? No. So she's obviously portrays like she's broken and she's cutting herself, working in the bank and so on. And Sean says the Joker kind of saves her, because he does. He just doesn't harm herself anymore. She just falls in love with the Joker, and she fills that void of Harley, because obviously Harley's left, the real Harley. And the fact that and I haven't read the New 52 stuff, but Martin touched on that it separates the two. So pre New 52, is that how the New 52 Harley Quinn is? This kind of chaotic.
Yes,
Well,
and look, it's weird. I think for me, when I saw this change, it made me think that he appreciates what Harley, the original Harley, is, and the fact that he
reading my notes, Martin.
Sorry, the fact that he took this version of Harley, scrapped her, and turned it into something else. I don't want to put words in the writer's mouth, but it just says to me, you don't like what Harley's become. You emphasize what Harley was, and you just put her up there on a pedestal for the whole book, even to the point where the biggest twist in the book that I never saw coming, I don't know if you lads saw it, was about Harley. Just...
She was pulling the strings the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't
He
see
was the
it.
White Knight.
The first read through did not see it coming. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Just on that, what we discussed there. So there is another book coming out at the minute. Sorry, it's due out in May. It's 6 issues called Batman White Knight Presents Generation Joker. I don't want to spoil anything
yeah.
for the second book, but it's Generation Joker. Yeah.
Yeah.
See what's
Gives
going
it.
on.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there's six
Cool.
issues of that coming out in May. And there's a comment there from Steve. I think he says there's quite a few more books planned. And this is the thing, he could do loads more. It's been Elseworld, you could literally do anything in this universe with this Batman design. Because I personally think this Batman design is one of the best ones there's been in a long time.
The
Actual
Elseworld
character
stuff
design.
is just so much better than the mainstream stuff, though. I mean, I'm not reading any of the mainstream stuff anymore. I'm reading Deceased and DC vs. Vampires and White Knight. You know, I'm reading these Elseworld stories because anything in the mainstream now is just not for me. It's just not good. But this, where the writer has full control and is allowed to do whatever they want, it just makes it more interesting because you don't know what's going to happen. You know, at the end of this book, he could have killed Batman and Joker and Commissioner Gordon and Batgirl and Nightwing. He could have killed everyone if he wanted to. He was free to do that. So you're never comfortable when you read an Elseworlds book, and I like that feeling. You never feel that you're going to get to the end of the book and everyone's going to make it out alive, and that's just more interesting to me now.
Like say, he killed Alfred, and I don't know how many times Alfred's died in the DC universe, but I don't think it's been that many times.
It's getting up there now.
Yeah, this is one of the first times I've certainly seen it. So that, and again, that's the beauty of an Elseworld or a Black Label, that you do have the freedom. As I mentioned before, even like some details of like, you know, the new Harley Quinn, the Jason Todd. They mentioned he was the first Joker or the first Robin. He wasn't. I'm pretty certain he wasn't. Dick Grayson was the first Robin. The fact that they can use the same details very loosely to tell his story his way.
Does it say he is the first Robin though, or is it not the one that he loves most?
Nightwing says he's the first Robin.
He was the first Robin because that's again, even in the main continuity, Batman's obviously always, you know, haunted by the kind of Jason Todd Robin death. I would call it that. But obviously here, there's a real reason for it because he was the first Robin, the first kid under his wing to be the Robin, and he kind of put him in that position. And obviously he then says, "I wish I'd never met Bruce Wayne."
That was such a great scene when Harley saves him. Like Joker's he's got his straight razor and he's going to kill him, and she comes running down and she stops him and she just tells him like, "This is too far." She's the only thing that keeps him a little bit grounded, isn't she? She's the only moral compass he has because he doesn't have one of his own.
And I really like Batman's relationship with Harley as well, like they're meeting in secret and stuff, and like
this is Harley. This is the real Harley Quinn. Like this is Harley Quinn. This is someone who has read Harley in the DC universe pre-New 52 and appreciates the growth and the character that she became and the maturity that the character has. That's something that New 52 never understood. They think she's just this tween that follows the Joker around and dresses up like a jester. She's not. She's a woman. She's a very intelligent woman. She's a psychologist. She's this. This is who she is. And Sean Murphy just really, really understands her. And as I was reading this, I was like, yes, thank you. You two have separated pre and New 52 Harley Quinns, and it is just perfectly done. She's a woman. She knows what she wants. She's responsible for the whole book. She created the drug that tried to cure Jack. You know, she put the plan into motion and put the little seeds all the way along to get everything to happen as it should. And it just shows her intelligence. And if you carry on reading, that just continues on.
Shall we get on to the verdicts?
Yes.
After that note, that sounds like that was your final thought, Shane. But let's do it properly. For everyone who's read the book, please let us know what you think. Give us a score out of 10. We'll add it together to give an audience score, and we'll add it to ours and to get the grand total and see where it comes on the top 10, if it comes on the top 10. It sounds like it will. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's start with Martin, please.
I was hoping you weren't going to start with me.
Oh.
Right. I've got a score down here, but I'm going to go up from my original score after this discussion.
Yeah.
I love the art all the way through. you know, the use of shadows and the designs of each characters, the way the evolution of the characters' designs change, which is brilliant. As we've discussed about Harley, you know, the character differential from New 52 and the original Harley, amazing. Even the fact that the story is revolved around Harley was great. I thought the relationship with Batman and Joker was just perfect all the way through. I think that this book, if you do not own it, the question I will ask is, why don't you own it? And you need to get your ass out there and go and pick up a copy of this book, so have on your shelf. So for me, this is probably my favourite Batman book I have read so far. This is a 9 out of 10 from me.
Oof. Nice. Great. Philip?
I have also increased my score slightly, just through having this discussion, because this is what it's all about.
You can't get higher than a 10.
Well, this wasn't a 10. It's no Dark Knight Returns. I mentioned at the start that this is one of like the 5 books I would be giving someone so many years from now, saying you must read this Batman book. And for me, it's a modern classic. Like, it's hard to kind of get that level of book, like The Killing Joke, Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One, Long Halloween, Hush. It's hard to reach that level of Batman because it's such a big thing, so popular, and it comes out every 2 weeks. It's hard to get that level of story. The fact that it's a black label helps it, obviously. The art is flawless. Like, well, I love the art. I love the colors. We love the detail, the shadows, the character designs. They all look cool. Like, the fact that as well in this book that he's used all the Batmobiles. He's used pretty much the whole Rogues Gallery because they're all brainwashed, but it doesn't feel cluttered. You know, all that stuff with the memorabilia and Joker's cell. Like, it's just, the art is fantastic. The story is really good. I love the 2 Harleys, the Neo Joker. And again, I had a lot of joy reading this. It's not Dark Knight Returns to me level yet, but if you know that I've read Dark Knight Returns multiple times, this is a book I will read multiple times, and my score will probably go up as the years go on, because I think you will notice things the more reads you have of this. And I know what's to come with this universe, and if you really like this, you will like what's next. So I was originally 8.5, but I'm up to 9, just because I've enjoyed and fun with this discussion, to 9 out of 10.
Right. Shane?
I love this book, and I stand by the fact that this will one day be spoken about like The Killing Joke. I think this, it could be a detriment that there are more volumes coming out. Like, if this was a standalone thing and there was nothing to follow it, then I think maybe. But I think with so many coming out, if some of them waver in quality, then people's memories of this could waver, and that could be a shame. This could have the Klaus effect if they do too many of them, you know, where the overall score of the whole story goes down. But this is fantastic. If you haven't read this, that you should read this. If you like Batman, if you like the Joker and Harley Quinn and all that, it gets extra props from me for the little cameo of Roxy Rocket just riding around. I haven't seen her in comics for years, so it was nice to see her. Just everything. Sean Murphy has utter respect for every single character in this book, and that just hits home for me. And I can't give it a 10 because I did give The Killing Joke a 10, and this isn't there yet, but ask me in 30 years and I might just do. But I'm going to give this a 9.5. I absolutely love this.
Nice. Great. Sean?
Yeah, I mean, you've pretty much covered everything that there is to say about this book. For me, it's the impact. So what sort of impact did it have compared to other books that I've read? So I've read a lot of Batman. Black Mirror was very good. Court of Owls, superb. But it's just, where does it stand with the other Batman books that I've read? And for me, this is head and shoulders above them. But I haven't read Dark Knight Returns, so forgive me for that one. But it's... But for me, it is about the impact that this book has. And when I compare to other books that I've read, you know, like your Sandman's, Someone's Killing the Children's, Canto, where does it fit in amongst those? Is there anything that it has a weak? Is it weak anywhere? And the problem is, I struggle to find a weakness in the book. Is there a flaw in the book? No. The writing, superb. The narration in general is superb. Artwork is phenomenal. Even the lettering in the book is and it's not spoken about enough, but it's placed correctly. I mean, there's the almost sex scene where they're covering
Yeah.
Harley. Do you know what I mean? But then you've also got the ha 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 where it's in green that stands out, makes the whole story, the whole narration pop. So when you're sort of marking out of 10, I sort of look at, right, is there any weak points in this? And for me, there isn't. So I have to give it a 10 because I can't find a weak point in it. If I could find a weak point, I would mark it down to 9.5. But I've yet to read a Batman book that's had this impact on me. And that's why.
Well done.
Sean, why did you have to pick this? Because I had got these scores on my pick, and I had on top of the leaderboard.
Great, thank you very much.
I'll give it time. I've still got Scott to do a score, so yeah.
Still got me to do
You
a
got
score.
4 out of 10.
There's a 2 from Scott.
One and a 10. So yeah, 2 scores in the chat. Last chance for anyone else to get a score in. Yeah, this was a really cleverly written story for Sean Murphy to create this little pocket Elseworld universe and expand upon it. And they're still bringing books out to this day. Like, he started this in 2017. 6 years later, people are still wanting more. It's very well done. And the thing that grabbed me most of all was spinning my allegiances from Batman to Joker to Jack Napier. My only downfall is that whilst I know who all of these characters are, if people are gonna go into this story having not really read Batman before, don't know who Nightwing is, they mentioned Jason Todd, they got Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, like, who are these people? And there's no kind of like explanation for those. So that's my downfall. Like, it's not you know what I mean, it's not my downfall, but it's like the only downfall I see in this story, that it's not very inviting for new readers of Batman. You need to have the kind of prerequisite. You need to do like these pre-reads to be able to understand the characters and the relationships and the impacts in this kind of stuff. So based on all of that, I'm going to go for an 8.
Nice.
So there we go. Perfect. So we got all of our scores in. We have 1 score from Brian, and we got 1 score from Kev. I'll say Kev's now because he hasn't given a reason. He's gone for 7.5. That's for Kev. Brian has said, I'm not a DC fan and have never really liked Batman, but this seemed something special. The writing was spot on, as was the art. Great story from start to finish. I'd liked this so much that I read it all in one sitting, then went on to Volume 2 and the Red Hood special as well. And had I had the time, I would have read the Harley Quinn 6-issue series as well, as she was a start-out character in the story for sure. This even makes me want to read more Batman, so I will check out more from the Nerd Herd's back catalogue, as there must be at least one more good Batman tale.
At least.
At least. He's given it an 8.5. So
Nice.
the scores are in. We've got 8.5 from Steve in the chat, and we have a 9 from Liam as well. So based on all of the scores from the Herd, including Sean's as well, we have an average of 8.7. Adding that onto Phil's 9, Shane's 9.5, my 8, and Martin's 9, we get an average of 8.8.
Ooh. Ooh. This is
So,
tight. This is
where
tight.
does it go on the leaderboard?
Ooh.
Joint first on the
No
leaderboard
way.
with Stray Dogs, 8.8. If we get
Kev,
This way I wanted
Kev.
to try and get number 1 again. So
yeah, the last time, you gave us Kanto and we had a number 1 from that. So thank you very much. But there we go. So there we go. Joint first. I'll show you the rest of the leaderboard as well. I may as well. There we go. There's the rest.
You're going to have to do a Batman leaderboard soon, Scott.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Oh, I could do that. That's the end of the show sorted. Batman. Great. So what's coming up on the Nerd Herd channel this week? Nothing else. Kevin hasn't got a video for us this week, but you can go ahead and look at his back catalogue of amazing how to draw videos. His most recent one was how to draw Grogu. He has also done a how to draw Batman. So if you are interested in that, go and have a look. It's absolutely awesome, and he's a very fantastic artist. Nothing else coming from us on the channel this week, though. So we're just going to go ahead and tell you what we've got coming up next. Here we go, Philip. For everyone on the podcast listeners, what are we reading for your pick next week?
This is Invincible Volume 1. This is the book I have been itching to get into ever since I watched the animated series. Yes, Sean's showing it off there. That's the same one I have. The Amazon animated series was great, and I want to read source material. So here we go. Volume 1 of Invincible.
Do you know
Awesome.
when I was picking last week? That was actually my second pick. Believe it or not.
Well, that's good. You got 2 picks in a row then. One night in this.
As it's not that I've been down near your shed or anything, just sort of looking around, see what you've
Have
got.
you been spying in? You have.
Just see Sean. He's just through the window looking at.
So we've got Liam saying, "Yay, Invincible." Connie is saying, "Ooh, nice, it's on my TBR." And Steve is saying, "Ooh, just picked up the first hardcover for that recently." Awesome. So it looks like we'll have a few people reading along and getting involved. Make sure you come next week. But that is it from us this week. And we just have to say goodbye and get our waves out.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Love you.